Hi folks, Mike Kelly again for animatorsforum.com. I'm going to show you something real quick. Hopefully it'll be quick. Somebody asked about on our forum about our my custom tools for drawing and creation of things, and these tools are free. They're available on our forum. You have to participate on our forum a bit to qualify, but other than that, they're totally free. I want to show you though how they work, or at least how a couple of them work, in case even if you don't want to get on the forum and get them, use them. It might give you your own ideas for how to modify your own tools. These tools, I call them the Swiss Army set, Swiss Army Toolkit right down here, SAT, if you can see this on the screen. Or maybe I'll zoom in on that. There's 4 tools, and they mostly replace the standard tools that are available. They're actually just mods of the standard tools, but they add some things on to the tools. Because what I don't like to do, I always like to keep one hand on the mouse, which I have. You can see I can move the mouse here. And this hand that I have on the mouse, I want to be in the working area. I don't want to have to keep going over here and selecting tools. Okay, so you might say, well, yes, but you can then press a special function key, or I'm sorry, press a shortcut key on the keyboard and switch tools. And if you watch the tools right up here, right now I've got the select points, and if I select, if I select the freehand tool, you notice it goes to the freehand tool. And if I go back to the select points, it would go there. So if I press shortcut keys, they would go back and forth that way. And yes, that's true, but I don't even want to do that. I want to stay in the mode and just press keys to alter. I want to press function keys to change the mode of what I'm doing. So I'm already bored by this, but anyway, let me start. So let me just go to what I'm going to do. I'm going to go right down. You notice I pressed T. Oh, you can't tell that, but I pressed the keyboard T. I have that assigned to my Swiss Army Points tool. And Swiss Army Points is kind of like it sounds. It just does everything with points that I need it to do. Normally what I do is when I'm starting off creating things, I create a shape. So I'm going to go to my Swiss Army Create first, and I create either a circle or a rectangle to start, and then I switch to my Swiss Army Points. Now I'm in Swiss Army Points. You're going to see at no time will my hands leave my wrists. At no time will this tool change here. And so I'm going to do all the stuff with this tool. So I can move points around pretty obviously. That's and the obvious thing, I can select points, to move around. Those are just the way the regular points tool works. But now if I want to move this point here, but then I decide, I need to change the curvature of that point. I'm changing the curvature. You notice I didn't change the tool at all. What I did was I held down the Alt key. So I'm moving here, and then I'm moving the Alt key to change the curvature of that point. So that's one thing I can do. The other thing I can do is add a point. When I'm working on points, a lot of times I want to add points to the object that I'm working on. So once again, I'm still in my Swiss Army Points tool, but now I'm just holding down the Control key to add points. And I always add points as sharp corners, and then I modify them as I need them. That's just easier for me. And to show you some of the next stuff, I would have to actually create a shape. So I'm going to go to my Create Shape tool, which works a lot like the regular Create Shape tool. But anyway, it has a few little things, but I'm not going to talk about it today. I'll go back to the Swiss Army Points. So I'm Swiss Army Points now. And if I want to, so once again, I can move the point, I can adjust the curvature, but I can also adjust the width of the line, which is useful for me. A lot of times also I want to hide lines, so I can double click on the line itself and hide it or bring it back. So that's another thing that I do often. In addition to my Swiss Army Points, which is what I use mostly to create things, if I want to move a set of points around, I have the Swiss Army Select. So if I select the points, I can select them here in this point. I'm going to switch now to the Swiss Army Select. It works the same way, and then I can move points around. But now, if I hold down the Alt key, for example, I can rotate those points. If I hold down the Shift key, I can scale the points. And if I want to see the actual scaling, so I want to scale them, in a different manner other than, if you want to see the scaling, what am I trying to say? You want to see how you're scaling the keys, right? So you have to have points selected before I can scale anything. So if I want to scale what am I trying to say? I want to scale it, non-uniformly. That's it, non-uniformly. Am I awake yet? Gosh. And so that's rotating the points. So that's the Swiss Army Select. So it does a lot of the things I need. I never have to go to the selection. And of course I can create groups with it the same way that you create groups in the other tools. I can change mode, so I can select via the lasso or via the rectangle. So those are those two tools basically to do everything I need to create. And then the final tool is the Swiss Army Create, and you might have noticed that it's very similar to the Create tool in that you could select a set of points and then it highlights the creation. I don't have to press the space bar though. In this particular case, I only have to hold down the Alt key and hit the mouse button anywhere. That's because I have my hand on a Shuttle Pro and I don't have a space bar and I don't want to move my hand off of that. You can also use the space bar too. It operates the same way that. But the other thing it does is if I hold down the Control key, it allows me to draw either the rectangles, or I can, if I change it to circles, I can draw circles with it, and that's useful because that's the basic starting points, starting shapes that I use when I'm otherwise doing my creation. So that's those are my tools. That's how I operate, and that's basically the only tools I ever need to create shapes and objects and move them around and they are available for free on our forum, so feel free to join us there on the animatorsforum.com. This is Mike Kelly, and hopefully you haven't been too bored by my custom selection of tools.